Hey everybody. Okay, so we're on part two of overthinking. Quick, straight to the point. I wanted to get this out. The first one, I did not make notes. Like I said, I just jumped up and wanted to get that video out. However, part two is a little bit more structured because there were specific thoughts that I wanted to address on this. And how I went in part one, it was just talking about overthinking, what that looked like for me, how I was able to identify that I'm a chronic overthinker. And if that is not a phrase, I am making it one because it really has impacted a lot of my life. And I know I'm not the only one. I've met several people, and like I said, mentioned in part one, that could look like not having a lot of friends, not having a lot of people close to you. And the funniest thing is, and I hear people say that all the time, I get along with people so well when I meet them in person. However, when the people that know me behind closed doors, other than me doing my businesses, real estate, or helping women with the women's group, my phone is not going off. I do not allow people that much access to me. It may be one or two people that, actually hit me up daily. And I've gotten comfortable with that. It has allowed me to quiet the overthinking to some capacity, to not be, especially, let me say this, overthinking can cause overstimulation more times than people like to acknowledge. And I'm here to talk about it. Sorry, you guys keep hearing my AC cut on and off. It's hot. So, the first thing that I put on here, it ties into the friendships and actually building, the different dynamics with people. So, making plans and then canceling them or just not showing up. I struggle with this so highly because I enjoy going out and trying new things, meeting new people. I'm gonna move this, y'all, because I like the lighting better over here. There we go. I like meeting new people and all of the things. However, the overthinking, the anxiety, the overstimulation starts to kick in when I go to think about the commute to wherever it is I need to go, or I start to think about who will be there. I don't know them, just different things. So overthinking what could happen when I get there. I'm a mom. So it's like, okay, is this environment going to allow me to get back to my children? Process of overthinking. As I list these things, I'm going to do examples like that of real time, thoughts that pop up in my head as to why this has become such a really prevalent thing. And before anyone says anything, I have been in counseling, am in counseling, therapy. I am a life coach. What I have recognized from my journey alone is I am, will, and have always experienced the very things that I help people through. And as contradictory as that sounds, I have the empathy on top of the sympathy to deal with these situations. So, although I may have experienced something back in my younger days, I graduated from that, right? Then I may experience it again in a new stage of my life. So I have a better understanding, different clarity, met different people experiencing something similar to help build off of the game plan to help other people go through it. So I just wanted to throw that in there as a side note. The next thing is fearing that when you are not around others, others are talking about you. You are the topic of discussion. Yes, that could be a good thing. No, it can't. Whatever you decide for yourself, it just puts you in a position to where if you didn't get a very good vibe around people, or you were uncomfortable or uneasy, it could lead you to continue to think about what was possibly talked about. So if you go around that same group of people again, if the energy shifts again, you're likely the topic of conversation. And what happens in that, if you don't feel comfortable, you won't typically go back and put yourself in that situation. So I wanted to bring that up because that's very real. So, this, okay, y'all. This one hit home a lot deeper for me because I recently experienced this form of overthinking in my own personal life. I worked very hard for the things that I've acquired in life, or God may have blessed me to receive things that I may have prayed for, was looking for, desired. And because of my overthinking, because of some of the people I may have surrounded myself with, I have actually given up or given back blessings meant to help propel me in my life so that I can make other people around me comfortable, or I did not stand out from the statistic of what a woman with the circumstances and situations I've been through should or should not be living in right now. Now, let me say this. This will throw, some people off. Judgment is judgment. I'm accustomed to it. I was blessed to be able to by myself go purchase a brand new car. And this was about a year and a half ago. Now, mind you, I did a lot of moving, a lot of transitioning, a lot of starting over because that's what I was led to do. And it's been a blessing by far. However, when I got to my new destination, when I started to really think about how seamless things were for me and have been, I started to get comments, slick comments that an overthinker will overanalyze, process, take to heart, take personal, where most people will not. And this is what can tend to mess us up, right? So, what did I do? I felt like as a single mom of three, I shouldn't be able to have this vehicle. I shouldn't be able to afford when it needs whatever it may need. I shouldn't be able to overthinking because life, social media, other people in similar situations have not been able to do what I'm doing right now. And I gave it back. And, I was blessed with another vehicle. Definitely not, I'm grateful for it, but it's definitely not what I asked God for, which He gave to me. And so I want to hit on this because this is crucial, y'all. Like, this is, excuse me for all the water, voices going in and out. I felt like, although I know where my source comes from, I believe in God. I'm very heavy on that. If you ask Him for something and you trust Him for it, He will provide it. And that's what has been evident in my life from day one. People close to me have said that there's no way that you got this. There's no way that this happened, but they were there from start to finish to see it. And so I gave the vehicle back. Although God had been providing, taking care of it, I didn't have to worry about anything. I started to have conversations with people who didn't and don't embody the same level of faith that I do. And I allowed their words to penetrate my spirit more than my reality of what God does for me on a regular basis. And I gave up something that was helping me grow the vision that He gave to me before I got here, right? Now, here it may be like less than a year later, and I am asking God to restore what it is that I sabotaged in that moment due to mental weakness, right? My mental health. And so, yeah, it's crazy because one of the Bible verses that continuously pops up is, I know the plans that I have for you. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And with those just on repeat in my mind, that's what I've lived with since I was probably about 9 years old. That's how far back I can remember. And I just think about where I'm at right now at 34. And it's true, the people you hang around can have a huge impact on you. You could be so focused, set, blessed, determined, successful, and you get around people who do not harness that same energy, and it can cost you a lot more than you think until you get back right with your belief, yourself. Everybody, people, this is overthinking. I'm doing it live on video because the things that come up are rebuttals to what I'm saying. And I want to touch on the rebuttals for other people who are overthinkers or people who may not be overthinkers but have very strong opinions on what other people experience in their life. And so, um, although you may say, just be confident in who you are. Think about the most confident person you know and the people closest to them. They care about their opinion. They may take mental notes of, their advice. I'm thinking about doing this. What's your opinion on it? If they didn't care, they wouldn't ask. And more people, we're built off of companionship, partnership, thriving from idea swapping and all of that. So for an overthinker, it's like 100 times heightened for that, right? We go through every scenario. So if there's like I said in part one, if there's a person in our life, we have thought of every worst case scenario, every best case scenario as to why they should or should not be in our life. So decisions in life literally come like that. Another thing is we are so used to and comfortable being alone because it's easier than having other people's intruding thoughts coming in and questioning our beliefs and making us think about things that, we already can't turn off our brain. And then when we do allow people to become close to us, we become hyper fixated on them. Their opinion matters, their well being matters. And sometimes to the detriment of ourselves, we will put these people on a platter. We will give them the attention, the time, the focus that we should be putting on ourselves. And then it becomes like this unhealthy balance until you learn how to balance it. This one is off the charts, one of the most difficult ones that I struggle with being an overthinker. I am often misunderstood or taken to be like a smart aleck because I ask a lot of questions. And I remember so many details. I remember what you said to me on top of what you do, because that's my way of holding somebody accountable. If I decide to walk away from a situation, it wasn't, no, you did something one time. I give grace and I give people like a million chances, right? Getting better with that because it shouldn't take that many. However, I know that life is life. And if I've allowed you into a space where I care that much, I am giving you so many opportunities to compromise, hear me, not be selfish, all of the things so that we can work it out. However, with being misunderstood for being an overthinker, it looks like the people that don't overthink, thinking that you're trying to get in their brain. I'm a psychology major. What are the chances? Always thinking, but I love the way the brain works. And with me asking so many questions, it's because I want to understand the person or people that I'm around from their point of view and not just my perspective, right? This is one of the hardest challenges with being an overthinker, because if you are dealing with surface level people, and I'm a very deep thinker, surface level doesn't make you feel. It doesn't make you tap into emotions. It doesn't make you process things on a deep level. You're allowed to answer a question and go about your day. It's not, that's interesting. Why do you feel that way? It doesn't push the boundaries of depth and surface, right? I'm gonna say those two because it's essential. With that last being misunderstood because of the questions, we often hold people accountable to the words and actions, as I mentioned before. But what that looks like is people feeling like you're always trying to find something wrong instead of it being a mutual understanding like, hey, if I messed up, please tell me. If I did something that made you feel some type of way, please let me know. This is how I am personally. So, in connections and partnerships, business dealings, I'm the same way. I hold people accountable because I'm reciprocating that type of energy. However, a lot of people do not like to be responsible for what they said and then what they did. And it causes and creates conflict that, if there was no overthinking, you would probably go your entire life with not knowing if this person truly understands me, truly cares about me. I've seen so many situations where people have had very surface level situations 5, 10, 15 years later. They're like, this person doesn't even know who I am. I can't even talk to them about what's really going on because we have this very surface level dynamic. And I just am adamant about not having those type of connections in my life unless it's business dealings, right? We often blame ourselves when things fall apart. So we could have ample opportunity to think of the reasons why it just wasn't supposed to work. But oftentimes, because we are dealing with people who do not understand the depths of our overthinking, we end up blaming ourselves and taking the heaviness, the weight of the situation, and secluding ourselves until we could figure out what it was that we did, what we said, how we could have fixed it, how we can go back. This often leads to us, even if we know a situation ended because of the fault of another person, we will oftentimes be the one to go back and apologize, to try to rekindle things, to try to make amends or understand if, hey, if this is what it has to be, let's just have that ending conversation because we need that. It's like a closure in our mind so that we can process. And if it's something that we need to heal internally, we can work on it. Um, a lot of times we're afraid of success. We're afraid of the attention that it will bring, having people seeing us doing good, appreciating us because we're used to the voices of others, opinions of others saying, hey, you shouldn't have that, you have the X, Y, and Z going on. This shouldn't happen that easily. We often dim our light to minimize what it is that we're good at. One prayer that I've been praying for the longest time is like, God, please help me find my purpose. I really want to find my purpose. Now, the funny thing is, for the last almost 20 years, people have told me what I do naturally, and it comes naturally. I know what my purpose is, but I'm praying for it because my overthinking mind needs a little bit more time to process. This is actually what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, I could make a very successful, a very comfortable life for me and my children and my future husband by doing what it is that I'm good at. But I have to get out of my head in order to start and just go. This one does not make people happy, but because we overthink so much, we have grown accustomed to and are able to identify and recognize manipulation tactics right away. And with the grace that I said I give people earlier, I oftentimes will mention, hey, I know what's going on. Please don't do that to me. Don't manipulate, don't gaslight. Just say what it is you need to say. If it's not in my favor, say it anyways. I'd rather you rip the band-aid off than play with me. Um, but because of that, people will sometimes try to flip that and say that you're manipulating them by bringing that up, by saying it, and it becomes a domino effect that is really unnecessary, right? But in all of these things of overthinking and all of these different pillars, right? There's going to be a part 3 because there's a whole different dynamic of overthinking. It's just, like I said, this is a series. I don't know when it will end, but I'm going to be obedient to the fact that this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. But what I want to say to end this is that one of the Bible verses I've held very close to me as of late, as I go through a lot of transitions, trying to rebuild what I've personally sabotaged due to overthinking, not because God said, stop doing this or you shouldn't be doing this. It was simply because I got in my own way, feeling like in order to fit in order to make my business successful, in order to get people to understand me. That's what I mean by fit in, not I want to be the way of the world. It's like I need people to know that there's no ill intention around what it is that I'm trying to do. It wasn't my place to do. God already ordained my path. And I was supposed to be obedient and walking in it. And as I'm asking him to replenish and restore the things that I sabotaged, the verse that sticks with me is he is close to the brokenhearted. And although it may not seem like it when you're dealing with an overthinker, because we can be very set in our demeanor, we can, unless you're close to us, then you'll see the emotional side, but it's because we want to be understood. I don't think anybody would ask to be like this on a normal day, right? But it is a real thing. However, there's a lot of brokenheartedness that occurs because being more comfortable being alone than being around other people stems from a place of being afraid to be seen. It's a brokenheartedness because it's like, hey, will I ever meet people who genuinely just want to be there, that just want to show up for me, that can just understand that this is just as much as it seems like it's a lot for you, it's 10 times worse for me because I can't turn it off. Therapy helps guide the thoughts, writing helps process the thoughts, but nothing can stop the way that your brain is. And I will say this, although overthinking has been contextualized as something that is not great, it is, and I am embracing it as a superpower because I have experienced some of my best life from overthinking. I have been able to show up for people in ways that they didn't even know they needed somebody to show up for them because of my overthinking. My ability to empathize and see somebody past the rose-colored glasses they wanted me to see them by, I was able to connect with them on a deeper level. And I would, I am and will forever be grateful for my ability to be open minded when other people are very closed off. And if it takes me a little bit longer to have what I desire, which is right, let me say this, I am very grateful for my life. Everything in it, even the things that I've sabotaged, God has always came through, showed up, and showed out in ways I couldn't even explain that people would understand except for the people that were there. But I do have, in this new season of life, being single the last 7 years, I do have this very deep desire to meet and be with my forever person. So that although I am overthinking, although I do experience life in a different manner than a lot of people, I have somebody in my corner that appreciates and recognizes it. At 34, I could get a good 40, 50 years of life living next to my person. And guess what? I throw that in there because overthinking has caused me to close the door on a lot of good opportunities because of the fear of what overthinking has cast over me, right? And so I just want people to be encouraged that no matter what happens in your life, no matter if you're an overthinker, if you're not, you can still have the life that you desire. There are people that want to understand you, that want to love you, that want to show up for you. Do not give up on yourself because you are learning what this journey is supposed to look like for you. Embrace it, hold on to it, cherish it. I'm in your corner. I am going to do my part to make sure that I'm creating content, real life content that helps you understand you're not in this alone. I know I'm not in this alone, and until the videos reach enough people that can chime in on their experiences and we can bounce ideas off of each other, let's be a thinker of a community of overthinkers. Let's embrace this journey together and not demean ourselves because everybody in the world doesn't understand. It is and can be a very beautiful thing if we learn how to channel it the right way. So I hope this part two helps somebody. It helped me getting it out and knowing that this will in turn reach the people that it's supposed to reach. I love each and every one of you guys, and I hope that you guys have an amazing day.